Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Matching Cards game. Just a quick demonstration of what we're going to achieve with all the coding on this game. So clicking on the green flag, then Abby runs through her instructions, we click on her badge. In part 2 we're going to create the sprite that has the 10 costumes of the Spanish words for numbers 1 to 10. We end up with 20 cards. Both sprites have the code of placing the cards on the white square, so avoid red, green and black. So we'll go over that code again, and just note the player has to wait until all cards are positioned in a white square. If they start matching the cards while the shuffle is still occurring, then the last cards that haven't landed on a white square will never show. So demonstration of the matching. I'm going to teach you the what's called ghost, so it makes it fade, and then when the match is done, one of the pair disappears, so that card can't be used again. And then we're going to use the code for scoring as well, and the person gets a 10 for completing all the cards. Let's bring through part 1 that we've already created, and we'll add part 2's code onto it. Those in the desktop version, we click on File, Load from your computer, and navigate to where you have saved your files. And bring through part 1. So we've got 3 sprites so far. In part 2 we're going to create a new sprite which will be similar to the sprite that's containing the numerals 1 to 10. In part 2 we want to create the Spanish words for numbers 1 to 10. Going to your sprite menu and clicking on paint, and then to ensure that the cards are the same size, we're going to click on the sprite containing the numerals and just bring number 1 across and drop it onto your new sprite. Then click on the new sprite, and this is going to become our Spanish words. We've got the card size the same as the originals. Let's zoom in, and we're just going to erase the number out of here and fill it with the red color, so color 0, saturation 100, brightness 100, and the fill bucket and fill. And then while we're in this position, we're going to create the other sprites, the other costumes. Clicking on the empty one, we're going to delete that, and then right click on our card, just the red card, and duplicate until we have 10 costumes. And clicking back on number 1, this is where we are going to make the Spanish words and put them on the card. I'll demonstrate the first 2 words. So our color needs to be color 27, saturation 79, and brightness 73. Clicking on text and change, I'm going to use handwriting, and we type uno. Click on the outline and then drag it into our card, and try not to make your word any bigger than the card itself. The framing around your word, it needs to be contained inside the card, and then position it in a central position. And then just the same for the rest of the cards. I'll just demonstrate DOS. Oh, sorry. Making sure that the framing around your word stays inside your card, and put it in a central position. So go ahead and make the cards for the rest of the costumes, and I'll see you in a minute. So now we've got 10 costumes for the sprite containing the Spanish words, and we're going to now save this as a different file, just so we're not saving over part 1. So file, save to your computer, and we're going to call this match cards part 2. Now, clicking on the sprite that contains the numerals, we're going to finish off the code for this one, or some of the code. So recapping, we've got the code when the sprite is clicked, and when I start as a clone, and when I receive play game. That's all from part 1. So I usually put all of those codes together how I've done here, and then I'm going to, down in this area for part 2, I'm going to put the code here, and it's when the person clicks on this card or this sprite, then what happens. So this is under events when this sprite is clicked. This is part of how does the game know that we've made a match. So this is what we're going to do. Under control, we're going to choose if then else. Sorry, if then else. And under operators, because of that shape, we need an operator, and we need something equals something. So this one goes into the space here, and we need a variable, and we're going to call it if the number is selected. So we need a variable called number selected. So make the variable number selected, and this is only for the numeral sprite. And then just take the tick out because we don't want it appearing up in the stage. So if that number is selected for the sprite, and just for the equals we put a 0 because there's no value. Then we want to make it fade or ghost, and that's under looks. Then this one here where it says set, and there's a drop down. In the drop down you'll find that ghost is here. So set ghost effect to, and I've done 50%, but if you want it faded out more, just increase the number. Then under your variables, we want to then talk about the costume as well. So it's here. choose this one and set and change this to the number selected, and we want it to look at the costume number, and that goes at the end. So set the number selected to the costume number. This is going to help us when the sprite is cloned. Then back under control, we want the if and then. And because of the shape, we need an operator, and we need something is greater than something. Choosing this variable, this operator here, and now we're going to talk about the match. So we've got the number selected for our numerals. So we also want the Spanish number. And so under variables, we need to say Spanish number selected. And remember your camel formatting, there's no space in between the words. And take the tick out. So if the Spanish number selected, again, there's no value here. Then we go to control and we want it if then else. And we need an operator, and this is something equals something. And this is the match. So we go to the variables and we say if the number selected equals the Spanish number selected, then we're going to say hide and then set the ghost effect to 0. And we're going to tell the rest of the game there's a prompt or broadcast. So back in events, and we're going to broadcast and wait. So broadcast, and under here we're going to make a new message, hide matching Spanish number. So the Spanish one will disappear if the match is correct. So broadcast hide matching Spanish number and wait. And we want the score to change. So we go to variables. At the moment we don't have a variable for score. So we make a new variable, call it score. And we do want it appearing in the stage. I'm just going to move it to the very corner. And we're going to say change the score. So under broadcast, change the score by 1. And then we then want to put everything back to 0 so the person can then make a match of another 2 cards. So we're going to say set the number selected to 0 and then set the Spanish number selected to 0. Then under else, if the matching is incorrect, then we need to just notify the player. So under looks we do say sorry, incorrect. Please try again. And we'll leave that up for 4 seconds. And we ask set the ghost to 0 if they've made an incorrect matching. And if the matching is incorrect, then we need to broadcast, and it's a new one. So broadcast and wait, broadcast, and then under the drop down new, and we call this show unmatching Spanish number. So we don't want it to hide. Show unmatching Spanish number. So it doesn't disappear. And then we ask for everything to be set back to 0, just so the person can try the match again. So we do under variables, set number selected to 0 and set Spanish number selected to 0. It's just like clearing things, resetting things, just so the person can do another match. And if they've clicked on a card and then they click on the same card again immediately, we just got to tell them you've already selected the card. So that comes under the final else, and we say number already selected. Now we don't have any code at the moment on our new sprite that's containing our Spanish words, but the numeral sprite contains code that we would like to use on this new sprite, but we just need to alter the code a little bit to make it specific for our new sprite. So we're going to drop these codes onto the new sprite and then go and change them. So just until the sprite waggles and then drop. So even the when the sprite is clicked, we'll drop on there, and then we'll pop into the new sprite and just organize things a little bit so it's nice and tiny. Okay, so that's the code that was created in part 1 for the numeral sprite, and this is the new code. So we just need to go through, because at the moment this code is specifically for the numeral sprite. So we just need to come through and make it specific for the Spanish words. So instead of numbers for our variable, we're just going to alter it a little bit. So under variables, we're going to still make it related to numbers, but we're just going to do the abbreviation for number. So capital N, small o, and we'll change this to the number. Then make sure your number is not ticked or else it appears on the stage. And wherever the word numbers appears, we're going to replace it with the abbreviation. Even for the N, which we just shortened the word numbers down to N because it was so long. So we're changing it to NO, and N changes to NO. So wherever N or numbers is appearing, we're going to change it to NO. This one is a removable one, and change to NO, and also this one, and change to NO. So that should be all the occurrences for the numbers or N. Then when this sprite is clicked, we need it to be specific for the Spanish. So instead of numbers selected, we want Spanish numbers selected. So we take out numbers and put in Spanish numbers selected. And then same down in here, the drop down we change to Spanish numbers selected. And then this is the reverse because it's going to start talking about the match. So we want numbers selected. And we can swap these around just so it makes sense to us in this sprite. If the Spanish number selected equals the number, then hide. Under here, under broadcast, we want broadcast hide matching number. So it's a new message, hide matching number. Then change the score by 1, that stays the same. Set number selected to 0, set Spanish number selected to 0, that all stays the same. Say sorry, incorrect, that stays the same, and go stays the same. Down to broadcast, it's show unmatching number, not Spanish number, but just number. So this is a new one. So show unmatching number. Then number selected and Spanish number selected, this stays the same, and else stays the same. Now because we've got broadcast, we haven't got any code yet that says when I receive the broadcast, so we're just going to work on that. So let's work on the code when I receive hide matching Spanish number, and we're on our Spanish words. So events when I receive hide matching Spanish number. Then we need a variable something equals something, and it's going to be inside a if and then. Then place the variable inside that. And we're going to say if the Spanish number selected equals the Spanish number selected. Sounds funny, but this is the code. If the Spanish number selected equals Spanish number selected, then set ghost effect to 90. Set ghost effect to 90, and then hide. So that's that one, when I receive hide matching Spanish number. The other one is when I receive show unmatching Spanish number. So back to events, when I receive, and change this to show unmatching Spanish number. Then again under control we want the if and then. The variable something equals something, and the operator something equals something, then the variable Spanish number selected equals Spanish number selected. Spanish number selected equals Spanish number selected. We want to set the ghost effect, which is under looks, set the ghost effect to 0, and we want the costume or sprite to remain showing, so we say show. So that's all the code, and we're going to copy this code onto the numeral sprite. So just drag and drop each of these, and of course it'll be slightly different because it's not Spanish number, but it's number. So first one, when I receive hide matching, it's just hide matching number, hide matching number. Then under variables, instead of Spanish number selected, it's number selected, because this is on the sprite that contains the numerals. The rest of the code stays the same. Then when I receive show unmatching, this has to be show unmatching number, show unmatching number. And then both of these variables we need to change to number selected. And that's all the code. Now we just need to test our code. So we click on the green flag. We can click on the badge at any time. Wait for the cards to shuffle. We cannot make a match until all the cards are placed in a white square. then clicking on each card in the pair to make a match. And then the score comes to 10, which is the end of the game, so the person can stop and play the game again if they wish. So if you've got any issues with the coding, please leave a comment at the bottom of this video and I'll get back to you and help you with the troubleshooting. Thank you so much for watching.